How would you like to achieve your first million? And today we have Kelle with us, which he is a spiritual business coach with over 20 years of experience in the coaching business. So Kelle, tell us, what are the 5 steps that entrepreneurs should be doing in order to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Well, so I'm going to give an answer that I don't think people are going to anticipate, because it's not a tactical answer. It's a strategic answer. Okay. And so the first thing you have to do is you have to start with the end in mind. And so I'm going to talk about this from an identity perspective, because a lot of the work that I do with business owners is around making sure that your identity is keeping up with your business, because if it doesn't, you will sabotage your business to pull yourself back down to the lower identity level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
And so the first thing is to start with the end in mind, right? So know who you are going to become when you're at that first million, right? Now, I want to say this, because if you as an earner, if this is your first business, or you've run a business in the past, if you've never made $1 million, $1 million may be a very hard number for you to anticipate in the beginning. And so I highly encourage you to pick a number that it seems like a stretch, but doable, and plan for who you will be at that point. You can always expand the goal later, but if you pick a number like $1 million for somebody who's only ever made $150,000 in a year is way too big a number, because the difference in who you will be and how your life will be is so different that you can't conceive of it, right? So you need to bring it to a level where it is a stretch but conceivable. And then you have a vision that you put together of who you are running the business at that level, because this is who you're living into as you're building your business. So that's step one. Step two is commitment. And this is the part that I think, if I think back over my last 30 years of doing this work with people, this is the one that I think has been the one that has declined most significantly over that period of time. It was much easier to get people to commit 30 years ago than it is today. And I think a lot of that's because of the ADD culture and, constant distraction and I don't feel like it, or, whatever, I've got to feel into it. Now, I say this as an empath who feels into everything. Okay. Let me just say, I believe in feeling into things. And I also believe that commitment is key. If you do not commit, and what that means, decide. To decide means literally to cut off all other options. If you pick a path and commit to it, that is the pathway to success. I used to train real estate agents 30 years ago, and I would bring them into my first day of training, and I would say, who has a backup plan for if this doesn't work? And I'd look at the people who raised their hands, and I said, you should go home now, because you're not going to succeed if you have no backup.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Well, it's
what
true.
What a great question.
It's true, because if you have a backup plan, then you're planning to fail. You're telling yourself that you're going to fail. So you've got a backup plan, right? Stop it. Let go of your backup plan. In fact, make your backup plan impossible and put yourself in a position where you must succeed.
You have to make it work.
That is success. Yes. And the other piece is to find a quick win for yourself. I find that a lot of things that happen, people associate their self-worth with the success of their company. And for a brand new company, that is so hard. It is so heavy for a brand new company to hold up the weight of your self-worth.
Absolutely.
It is this tiny little baby. It cannot control you. It can't hold that weight.
Can destroy you mentally and physically.
Absolutely. You have to know that you have worth regardless of the outcome of your company.
Because you deal with a lot of rejection at the beginning.
Yes. You will screw up over and over and over again. That is the nature of business. And I'm going
And
to
you
tell
will
you this
receive
right
no,
now.
no, 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 the whole time, and it's very difficult to deal with
Yeah.
psychologically.
Well, it's and not just no, 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 but also crickets, right? I think that's worse than no. At least with no, you're in front of somebody. Crickets is you're talking to nothing, right?
Mhm.
And any first-time podcaster, I know when you first started your podcast, you were talking to nothing, right? I mean, it takes a process to get used to doing this, right?
Yeah, yeah, my girlfriend
And-
dragged me into this, so.
right, there you go. So, but this is the thing is that you are going to fail over and over again. That is, you need to set your mindset for the understanding that failure is not an end point unless you quit. Okay? You will fail a lot. It's fail forward, right? No entrepreneur knows exactly what's going to happen next. They're all making it up. Okay, we are all. I've been doing this stuff for. I've been in business for 38 years. I think is
Wow.
38
Wow.
years. I
Very
am
impressive.
still making it up. I am making it up with
That's
more
brilliant.
knowledge, but I'm making it up, right? We are all making it up as we go. And you just have
This
to
is who
be
we are.
okay with it.
This is
It
who we
is.
are.
Yeah. And having worked with countless business owners over the years and consulting with them on their businesses, I can tell you that these people who look like they've got it all together from the outside often are a hot mess. Okay? So if you're a hot mess,
It's very
don't worry
common,
about it.
actually.
I mean, we're all a hot mess. Let's be honest. Everybody is a hot mess in some way, shape, or form. And so it's okay. That's what I'm trying to say. Is I'm not trying to denigrate the people who are a hot mess. What I'm trying to say is everybody's a hot mess in some way, shape, or form. And so don't be hamstringing yourself by judging yourself for being a hot mess when everybody else looks like they have it together. Do not judge. Don't compare your insides to other people's outsides, because I promise you those are very different things, right? So that is getting ready for, that's part of your commitment piece, right? So the next thing, and this is again, preparing yourself for the challenges. That's step 3, is prepare yourself for the challenges. Give yourself permission to fail, especially if this is your first business, even if you've been a high corporate person, right? I have a friend of mine who was the comptroller of a Fortune 100 company, had 123 people working for her, $1 million in the bank in the early 90s. And,
wow,
I mean,
that's a lot of money in the early 90s.
it was a lot of money in the early 90s, right?
Right?
And she came into the business world and fell on her face for 20 years. She just bang, 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 until she finally figured it out. Right. It took her a long time to get the transition.
How it works.
Right. It was a transition that she had to make in her mind. And, this is the thing that happens, is that sometimes it takes a while, and hopefully not 20 years. That's why you get a coach. But, it's sometimes it is very much about, not sometimes, all of the time, it is very much about getting up after you fall down. Right? It's entrepreneurship is an act of willful futility with hopeless optimism. Right? It is a stubborn, mule-headed, blind movement into the future,
into the unknown, yeah.
Testing and testing and testing and testing and testing until the thing finally freaking works, right? And that's really, I mean, if you are not game for that, then this is not for you. Okay. I can't tell you how many times over the course of my career I wanted to quit.
Oh,
and I tried to quit. a few
If I tell
times.
you
I really
stories,
did.
I will depress you. So let's don't go there.
Yeah. Well, see, this is what I'm saying, right? I mean, I can't tell you how many times I went and redid my resume and went to the whatever the job site du jour was and tried to put a resume out and then felt like my soul was dying and was like, okay, I can't do this. I have to go back and do it again, right? And so,
And you send your
you
CV
have,
and you said, "This is it. I'm sending my CV, and I wish that somebody picked me, and that's it. I go, I work 8 hours, they give me the money, I don't need to worry about anything else." What kind of paradise? Even you start to talk to yourself into into
yes.
this how bad
Yeah.
can be sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, to give you perspective, I was a national trainer in the real estate industry when the real
Wow.
estate market crashed in 2008. Okay.
Wow.
So you want to
You
talk
literally were
about,
on top of the world.
yeah, I was doing great. And then the market went kaboom out from under me. My business, I was doing fantastic. My business was awesome. I was awesome. My clients were doing great. And then bang, everything went to hell in a handbasket, right?
Overnight, yeah.
Overnight. I
And now
mean,
you
I
have to
looked
reinvent yourself.
exactly. Exactly. And so, those are demoralizing moments, right? You're just
Absolutely.
like, oh God, and
Ah.
then, but every time you do it, you learn something from it, right? You expand, you evolve,
Mhm.
you become more.
To the
For
point that you
me,
get used to it.
exactly.
To the point that we get used to it. You see. If I tell you a story, my first business was in real estate, yeah, but we have these business speakers and leaders, and 2018 was doing amazing. We were traveling all over the world. We actually spent 4 months only in London, so we are doing all these events. It's thousands of people. We're doing speaking tours in Peru, Mexico, Singapore, Dubai, um, again and again every year, and more people are coming, and the whole thing is growing, and it was going amazing. And we are on the plane. We are like rock stars. You see, you arrive to the country, a car waiting for you. You have like a somebody waiting. They carry your suitcase. You go to a hotel. Okay, next day, this is thousand people waiting for you in this city. We're gonna do a tour. We're gonna go all over the whole country, and it was a lot of excitement. And one day, COVID I was actually in a tour in Peru, and I said, "No, we're gonna do the conference." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Well, the teachers, we were about to do a conference with 800 teachers in Peru, and they said, well, they cannot come. Actually, no. They said, Harry, we're not gonna get the 100 teachers. We're gonna get 400 and 400. I said, why? I said, don't worry about it, but you need to do it twice. Strange, no? I was thinking, why they don't put 100 people in one shot like we always do? But anyway, we will do it. And then next day say, you know what? Actually, there is not gonna be conference at all. No half and half. And good news, the airport is also closed. So you're stuck in Peru for 111 days
Oh
because
my
of the
God. Was that
So
because of
now we need to
COVID?
know Peru. Yeah, now we need to get to
Yeah.
know Lima. We were confounded there, and then eating very nice fruit and vegetable, enjoying the sun. But we were there, and the whole thing disappear overnight. So and now it's taking a little bit of time to get it back because people are getting so comfortable now to go to sit in the house and to do Zooms and things like this and podcasts that now to get into a live event have become a headache. But still,
Yeah.
we're working on it. So yeah, the whole point, Kelly, is that. But you know what happened? Reflecting what you just shared, that when this happened to me, I say, okay, fine. And somebody told me, look, there is this Zoom thing that you can do kind of the same thing. I say, okay, what is this thing? And we back again, and it was no like a drama that 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 I could make out of it. Like, how come again? You see, every time that I'm doing something, it's going amazing. Something happened that had nothing to do with me. What is something wrong with me? What's going on here? So rather than make the big case and the big drama that I used to make before when things didn't work, we just okay, fine. So it seems that we need to reinvent ourselves once again.
Yes.
So
I had
you
a dollar for every times I reinvented myself, I would
oh
be a
my God.
very rich woman.
So it gets to the
That's
point,
crazy.
Kelly, that you don't, and this is now it comes to the mindset and the spirituality and things that we're gonna talk about because again you start to think, what's wrong with me? Why every time that I develop a pro, that I grow, that is going so well, something happens, credit cards coming, COVID comes. Why every time that I do something, something
Yep.
needs to happen that have outside my control and goes and the market change and here we go back to zero again,
Yeah,
which is
it's crazy.
but anyway, the
So that was
ha,
that was
mhm,
three. You want
mhm.
let me do four and five for
Absolutely,
you real quick. I know we're
absolutely.
taking a long time for this, but I want to make sure we get through all of them. So the next one is to make sure that you are not being overly controlling of the how.
Hmm.
Okay. So we provide the destination and the motivation. The universe provides the navigation. So the how is not actually your responsibility. That's the universe's job. You tell the universe what you want, and then you take steps in that direction and you pay attention to the messages that you get and the directions that it takes you. And you follow the path that's put in front of you. And so I will tell you, this is the hardest one for me. It's so hard for me because I have an engineer brain. I take esoteric concepts and turn them into really easily digestible things to understand all the time. So not being able to like structure the how entirely is very difficult for me. And so what you have to do is you have to lean into your faith in the universe. You have to lean into the universe as your partner, not your parent. So it's not telling you whether or not it's okay. You're not waiting for the little stamp of approval on your forehead from the universe. What you're doing is you're saying, yo, partner, this is what I want. Go make it happen. And then tell me what I need to do to get to where you're taking me. And that's what you're doing. And when you can do that and you can have faith and trust that it's going to work, that's when you step into the flow, right? I can't tell you how many people over design their businesses and over engineer and over structure and sometimes to the extent where they don't actually do anything. They're so busy planning, right? It is so much better to ready, fire, aim than to ready, aim, 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 because you never actually fire, right?
Mhm.
So, you got to actually get into action, right? And then let the universe tell you which direction to go in. And then the last piece is to, once you've reached that next level, cement that identity shift. And the reason you have to do that is because if we don't bring our identity up to the level that we're operating at, then we end up in this place of feeling like a fraud. It's the imposter syndrome thing. And when you have imposter syndrome, it is an indicator that your identity is not at the level of your success. And when your identity isn't at the level of your success, you are absolutely at risk of sabotaging.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So those are my five.
Okay. Let's expand a little bit more about this last point that you make because we a lot of people talk about how to deal with failure. Very little people talk about how to deal with success. And we have a lot of cases in this podcast, on Unstoppable Podcast, 5 Step How to Make Your First Million. Even the previous interview, we have Amy, I guess, that she has an exit of a company and I don't know that she got a lot of money for it and she bought a beautiful house in Florida and she has a brand new car for the first time in her life. The VCs that took the company fired all their employees, and now the woman is everybody at home. The family goes to kids go to school. The husband is going to work, and she's crying all alone at home, and nobody can even feel sorry for her because what what to feel sorry
Oh, I
about? You
can.
just exit for um for £1 million for a lot of money your company. So it
Yeah.
comes it comes to and I have also personal experience as well where I auto sabotage myself and I opened a restaurant and I lost over 200,000 and 2 years of my life and my girlfriend and everything because of success. Also, my first business in the real estate, we managed to sell over 5 millions, and the business got to the point that my team sent me home. They told me we can run this business without you, Harry. So then I decided to auto sabotage myself and open a restaurant. It was a big disaster, a big failure, and I lost 2 years of my life. My girlfriend, my other business also collapsed because of this. But you don't know how to handle this because and more stories in this broadcast. Oh, more and more and more.
Oh
We have
yeah.
here of successful entrepreneurs that auto sabotage just because there is no clarity what they really want.
Yep.
In my case, it was again not knowing how to deal with success and feel uncomfortable with all this money coming to me without doing literally anything. I was not used to that. My parent was not used to that. Nobody was used to that. And I'm thinking that there is something wrong with me. That how come all this money is coming to my bank account and I'm not doing literally anything, just going
Yeah.
2 hours a month to my office. Not even go to the office. My general manager will come to me and inform me what they're doing with the business because I was even taking the decision. They were taking the decision, so they just coming to inform me what they were doing, and I'm just okay, very good. You are amazing. You're 100 times better than me. So.
Yeah.
So what's your
Well, I mean,
point, Kelly? Why nobody talks about this topic, which is how to deal with success? Why, and and could be a recipe for disaster
yeah.
because you
Well, and
can't take a bad decision. You can lose all like that. I've seen
yeah.
people that we interviewed this podcast have actually shared the stories that they work really hard. They make a lot of money. They bought the house of the dreams. They bought whatever they want, and after they achieve all this, they are sitting in this luxury house. And this is what I did all this work for, and they start to feel a bit uncomfortable. And 2 3 months down the line, they take a wrong decision. They lost
Yep.
everything and more, and they end up in the couch of the mom.
Yes. And that happens. It happens more often than we want to think. And the
Oh
reason we
yeah.
don't talk about how to manage success is because, especially in the US, it's all about the American dream. And the American dream is you get there and you have it and you're there. And I did that. I was, when I was 28, I had the American dream. I had the
Wow.
trophy husband and the big house and the successful business and
On
I
top
was
of
on the
the
board
world.
of a nonprofit. By the outside standards, everything was check, 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 check for the American dream. But on the inside, my husband and I were in a cold war with each other. I was burned out at my job and could barely manage to deal with it because I was so fried. I was hiding in the nonprofit trying to justify not going into the office. And I was miserable. And I looked at it, I was like, I did the American dream and I feel like I was lied to, right?
Hmm.
And so I actually just leveled my life at that point. I divorced my husband. I sold the business. I quit the
Wow.
nonprofit and I moved out of state to
Wow.
live with
That
a
was a
bunch of people. It
drastic
was
change.
drastic, huge change, right? Because I was like, this isn't what I want. And I just was like, start over, right? And this is what I see with people is I didn't sabotage so much as I just was like, nope, I made a conscious decision that this was not the path I wanted. And I started over. But when you are, again, this is an identity thing. So the person who sold her business and was sitting there in tears, I totally get why that is, because her entire identity was wrapped up in that
Gone.
business.
Exactly.
And now she has no identity and no purpose and no focus and no reason to be. And nobody feels sorry for her. And she can't
The
process with
opposite.
anybody.
The
Right.
opposite.
Because, right. And it's devastating to lose your identity. It is devastating. And so, I absolutely understand why she was having that experience. And I have a lot of compassion for that because it's very difficult. But we see it all the time, especially in like sports stars, right? The sports stars will they'll come out of nowhere from nothing and suddenly they've got all this money and all
Mm-hmm.
this fame and they have no idea how to be the person that they're being put forward as. They're being put forward as this role model and they're like, I'm just 23 years old and I don't know what my head from a hole in the ground, but I can throw a ball and I don't know what to do with this. I'm going to go drink myself into oblivion, right? I mean,
And
that's
then
an identity issue.
70% file bankruptcy, and they cannot
Yeah,
even can afford the medical bills from the Super
exactly.
Bowl players after the short career as a sport finish because they don't know how to handle money, they don't know how to manage money. They
Well, they don't
number
know how to
one.
be the person they've become. They don't know
Mm-hmm,
how to be that person. So they act as though they were the person that they were before. And
mm-hmm.
that person never had money, so they will blow the money so that they don't have it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's yeah, it's about not knowing how
And
it's
then
not
they
about
do have the
they don't have
commitment
the
to the
skills.
neighborhood because they grew up in that neighborhood. So now
Right.
they don't have identity if they not connect with this neighborhood. And now everybody in the neighborhood know that you're a multimillionaire, so everybody come and ask you money to ask you for
Right.
money, and you, of course, you will give away the money to the everybody in your neighborhood that wherever you grow up that need help because um who are you if you are not there for the people that you grow up with, who you
Well,
gonna
because
become, and then who they're gonna choose as managers, they're gonna choose the family member that doesn't have any clue what to
right.
do, and then you will have your dad, maybe your dad doesn't have a job, so there you go, daddy, you have a job, you will represent me. So the whole recipe of identity get a lot mixed up, and unfortunately, it have a really negative impact in them when they look at because
Yeah.
they didn't know what they didn't know, and again they coming with one identity background that they are all about the community, all about the sport, about the people that support them when they're growing, and they feel in debt with that community, and that community is not that taking advantage. The community see, well, this is my mate, my colleague is now is a multimillionaire. Well, I need some money to pay my rent. So
Yeah.
can you please help me? And
Well,
they,
and it's more than that for them too, because it's also an issue of belonging, right?
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
they want to continue to belong in a place where they don't belong anymore, right?
exactly.
And
They
that's
have
part of
become
the
a
issue
different
too.
person with different level of success, and now they need to start to hang around with new people.
Yeah.
And same like when I started my first business, that when I went out with my friends and I talked to my friends, I just started the real estate business, and then I'm very excited. I go to see my friends. We go for a beer in a pub, and then everybody's talking about what they're doing, and then I'm going to say, okay, you're not gonna believe I have this business and these are my clients and I'm making this money and nobody cares.
Yeah.
No one cares. And I'm
Well,
like, oh my
they don't care
God, it
because
means
they don't
it
want to be
means that
jealous. They don't want to they don't want to feel like they're behind. So every time we grow and our friends don't, they're left with two options. They can either try and pull us back to where they
Mhm.
are so that they can stay with us, or they can push themselves to make themselves up to the next level. And most people don't want to do that.
Mm.
And then so that
I
leaves the
realized
third
very
option,
quickly,
which
oh
is you
my God, I'm
split,
gonna I'm about to
right?
lose all my friends
Yeah, and that happens
because
a lot.
that's
It
what happened
happens a lot.
actually.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
perspective today, now all my friends are entrepreneurs. I
Right.
don't know anyone that apart from my family and apart from my family, in my circle of friends, they all are entrepreneurs. So I had to
Right.
create a new group of friends, and a lot of them are showing up to this podcast already. Over 500 millionaires already entrepreneurs have been interviewed here, which is we have I can say that I have a lot of friends, but I had to start from zero, building all these relationship because it is it didn't happen when you started your first business. So a lot of change goes into the psychology of the entrepreneur,
Yes.
and again you have that psychology where you started, where your family, your relationship, but you're dealing with a lot of pressure. You're dealing with 10 times more pressure than everybody out there, because literally, if you have a job, you go to your job, you have to learn on something. You technically do what you like. I mean, in the most cases, because that's why you apply for this job. So
Mhm.
you like that thing, you get very good only at that thing that you like. By the way, you get paid for going 8 hours there, and then after, you don't have to worry about anything anymore until
Right.
the next day. Wow, what a wonderful life, yeah. And
So I'm going to go back
and
to
then
that point.
you
I'm going
go
to
to
go
the
back to a
entrepreneur, you go to the entrepreneurs, and now the entrepreneurs, they need to work, they need to know about everything, not only the thing they have to do things that they like, and they also have to do things that they don't like, because when you start a
right.
business and you don't have resources, you have to do things that you like, things that you don't like. Then this 9 to 5, forget about it. You will work Monday to Sunday for a year or two, and then, well, when the magic happens, it's amazing, because I've been in both sides. And let me tell you something: when your employees send you home and you're at home making all the money doing anything, is so beautiful. It was so
Yeah.
beautiful that I couldn't even appreciate the first time that happened to me. But now looking back, it was a spectacular what happened. But
Yeah.
all
Your
this
business
pressure. Mhm.
Yeah, your
It's in
business
your
becomes your
mind.
love affair, right? It
Hmm
becomes your
hmm
love affair with your
hmm
business.
hmm
And if you don't have people around you who love it the way you love it, love their businesses
Oh,
the way you love
you will
yours,
get angry with the people. I
that's
remember
right.
my business one was failing the restaurant. People would talk about bad about my business, like they talking bad about me. I'm taking it personally. This is
Yeah.
and then but the psychology of the entrepreneur um is the most difficult one, because exactly what you just shared. You were on top of the world. You had that American dream,
Yep.
and then he you are saying, well, I'm not happy. I suppose that I have everything that everybody is fighting for. I have it, and what is this? I'm not happy. And then you need to start to work on yourself.
Yeah.
And this is what the real magic happened, you see. And the number one thing that make a huge difference to my life is that one day I'm reflectioning, and actually I don't have to prove anything to anybody anymore. And when you are coming from this space, oh my God, your life is gonna be so amazing. You're gonna live with so much joy and so much peace, and you will attract amazing people, and then you will create something like this one. I didn't even create it. My girlfriend told me, this is, you should do this. You're gonna love this. I said, what is this? It's a podcast. You will see. You will interview entrepreneurs, and you're gonna have a lot of fun, and that's gonna be amazing. I'm telling her, you sure that that will give me happiness? You will love that thing, and I'm actually enjoy so much, because one of the things I made amazing people like you, and that makes my day, because entrepreneurs, we need to talk about our challenges. We need to talk about what is out there. And I'm also very happy that you decided to become a spiritual business coach, because if we speak with several entrepreneurs, they don't even uh, um, understand what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Spiritual, what, 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 what,
Well, they've
what has
probably heard of
something
the
to
law
do
of
with
attraction.
anything? That what has
Yeah.
something to do with anything? I'm an entrepreneur. I want to know how I develop a product, how I sell it, how I make money, how I make money to the bank account. This is the only thing that I'm interested in. What this spiritual thing has to do with it, and the more they start to understand that it's the other way around, that until
Yeah.
you don't clear these negative emotions and you work on yourself, probably you're gonna have these millions and you're gonna be so empty that that you will wonder yourself, what was the whole point to do all this in the first place? So
Yeah. And I see that a lot, actually. I see a lot of people
me
who get to
too.
their
I do too.
success levels and they're just like, this is an empty success. So why am I doing this? Right? It's just what was the purpose? A number was arbitrary,
And
right?
what was the point for me doing all this in the first place?
Right. And so often they've built their businesses based on what is the most effective or fastest path to cash, and it's not in alignment with who they are. And so they get there and they're like, "Great, I'm churning money, but I don't feel good about what I'm doing in the world. I
Mm.
don't feel good about how the way my business is impacting the world. I don't feel good about the way I'm running it, or it's running me in a lot of instances, you know. And my relationship with my employees is terrible,
Hmm.
and I don't have any
You don't have time
loyalty,
time
and
to spend with your husband, your family, your friends,
yeah, yeah, and that's the
all of
thing.
it.
I've got somebody I'm talking to about a JV right now. And the big conversation we're having is I am not going to be working 70 hours a week. So you need to structure this JV in such a way that I have quality of life. Because if not, I'm not interested, right? Because
Absolutely.
I'm clear about what my goals are. I retired my husband when we moved to Panama 2.5 years
Wow.
ago. And so he's 41 and he's a house husband. Now he helps me with my business now from time to time because I think he should know how to run it if that's what's making his money. In case something happens to me, God forbid, right? He should know how it works, right? But it's one of those things where the when you are looking at how you want to structure your business or restructure your business, because I do a lot of that work with people where they're like, "Ooh, I'm drowning," or I'm overwhelmed, or I don't like it, or whatever. I do a lot of restructuring with people, right? And so, if you're looking at that, you really need to look at how you want to live your life. What's important to you, right? I don't mind working 7 days a week for long periods of time. I just don't want to work 7 or 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'll work an hour and a half or 2 hours here or there. And, I'll do sprints of, 7 hours here, or 8 hours
You don't
there.
need to, and you don't have to.
That's right. Because I structured it that way. My whole life, people have been looking at me going, well, when are you planning to retire? And I'm like, why would I ever retire? I live a retired lifestyle now. I choose the hours that I work. If I don't want to work, I
Absolutely.
don't work.
Exactly.
I, my business is
If you wanna go to month holiday, you go on holiday. So that's
exactly.
the whole
I
point.
just tell my clients I'm taking a week off or 2 weeks off or whatever.
Mm,
I'm just like,
mm.
okay. So
The
it's a
sometimes
different mindset.
sometimes they ask me, Harry, why you don't go on holiday? I'm like, how? What do you mean on holiday? I spend holiday my whole year. I travel all over the place, the world when I want, and spend whatever I want time. So I don't have this such a thing like holiday time because I design it in a way that, to be honest, by every single day that I'm around, I'm literally it's a day on holiday, which
Yeah.
and
Well, and that's been the case since I moved here to Panama. I used to have this huge travel bug. I'd be like, oh, I want to go here. I want to go there. I want to go there. I got to Panama and I'm like, I live on vacation. It is the most beautiful place I've ever lived in my
so
life. I live on
sunny
the
every
side of a
time.
volcano. The weather is, well, it's not sunny all the time because we have rainy season here,
Ah, wow.
but it's sunny enough, right? And the weather is warm and comfortable to go out in all the time. And it is so lush and beautiful. And I'm like, I walk outside, I'm like, why do I need to go anywhere? Why do I want to get on a plane and deal with people and be in the air and da 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 da, and then I have to get where I'm going. It's a lot of work. And I'm already here and it's already pretty. So I haven't left the country since we got here 2.5 years
Wow.
ago. And that is
Wow.
unheard of for me, right? I'm like usually on a plane every, at least once or twice a year, right? And
There you
I'm
go, and
just like,
then you
"Eh,
reinvent yourself
I'm
again.
good." I was like, this is my 40th move, 40, my 40th move. And I'm like, I don't even want to leave. It's so funny. So
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, I think that the environment, I think one of the reasons why I travel a lot is because every time that you change the environment, something positive happens, at least to me.
Yeah.
Um, the environment uh, uh, have a really positive impact in your business because when you change, when you are in another country, when another, I think it's like you value different things, but this
Yeah.
depends on your surrounding. And And if you're actually looking to see the positive things everywhere you go, rather than the negative, and rather than moan and complain, see what is possible about Panama. Yeah, I know about a lot of things that will be possible, that they are amazing over there. Number one is the price of the things.
Yeah. Well, that is definitely not a
This.
downside. But you know, the thing that I love so much about this country is the culture, right?
Mhm.
I love Latin culture. And there is this, it is because unlike the US, your value is not based on what you produce. Your value is based on who you are
Mhm.
and your connection in the community and your connection to your family and your connection to your friends, right? It is very much about, in fact, there isn't really a value determination in Latin culture, right? Value is not relevant, right? People complain that they're like, oh, the service here, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's because they don't base their value on productivity, right? Which that they don't drive themselves into the ground to make things happen. If you chill and you relax and you
They
allow,
treat you like a
and
friend, yeah. You go
it's
to a cafe, that's
absolutely, it's
your friend. So
perfect,
my
right?
friend wait, that's okay, no problem. And if he can,
Exactly.
if he's in a hurry, my friend will clean their own table. What I have to do,
It,
and it's
it's
okay,
just a different way of being, right?
and it's
And you're
okay.
in
Yeah,
Miami, so you
yeah,
understand. There's a huge
yeah.
Latino community in Miami.
Yeah, oh
So
yeah,
yeah, so I mean it's just it's a beautiful thing to just be with people. And in the Latin culture, you do not talk about what you do until you're way far into the conversation. Unlike Americans who are just like, I
yeah.
do this.
Or in
This is what
London,
I do. You
in
know, it's
London
like
also,
it's our
absolutely.
definition, right? Yeah.
That's a very very interesting point of view. So,
Yeah.
Kelly, tell us a little bit more. Is some entrepreneurs are in love with a conversation? I want to know more about what you do, uh, how the process work. How can they find you?
Tell them to come to kellesparta.com. So just like you see it on the screen, Kelle. And in there, you just click the button for a discovery call and you can sign up for a discovery call. We can talk about where you are in your process, what's going on with you, how do we get you further along in the process. And I have everything from, online courses with coaching support to one-on-one elite private coaching where I just feed you what you need in the moment. So everything in between. So whatever level you're at, I have something for you.
Thank you so much, Kelly. That has been a very amazing talk with you. I think you're brilliant, and I wish you the best there in Panama. I think that you are living your life, and I acknowledge you to design the life as an entrepreneur that you are. How works better for you? Because again, we don't need to prove anything to anybody, and we don't need to live the life that a stereotype or somebody think that we should live. And if what it makes you happy is to have to be in a tiny house, eating good food in Panama, enjoying the weather, and by to see the volcano, this is what make you happy. What's the point of you having a big mansion in Boston or whatever you were living before with the cold and the freezing and all the pressure for the society and paying a lot of bills with any of it make sense as an entrepreneur in the first place because it's a huge waste just because you want to fit in.
Or you look to have an image.
Hmm.
It's like
Yeah, you
I
want to
have to
fit in.
look successful, right?
Yes, yes,
And
yes,
it's like
yes.
I have a house that's big enough for my needs, right? I
Exactly.
think our house is like 1,400 square feet, and it's bigger than we need, right? It is bigger than we need. We've
Uh,
got a whole room that I rarely walk into, right?
and do
It's
you
just
really need to prove to anybody anything at this stage after 20 so many years
yeah.
of work of reinventing yourself? Not really.
No,
Uh,
I don't.
uh, Whoever want to love to work with you, they will come and work with you. You earn it. It didn't come from the sky. You achieving by working, by the experience, by falling down and getting back again, which is the nature of the whole entrepreneur. The thing is a skill. The more you practice, the better you become.
Yep.
And it's like driving a car or swimming. You're not going to learn reading a book. You actually have to develop the skill to become an entrepreneur. So I think you have quite a lot of years of practice, the skill
Many, many
in
years of
this
practice.
experience, yeah, and many years of reinvention. So I think that's an amazing role model for entrepreneurs to look at themselves into the inside, who they really are, what actually makes them happy, and go on grow your business from the point that what impact can you make in the society, in the community, how you can be a conscious entrepreneur. Because again, if the business is allowing with the what is important for you in within, then you're not gonna have these stories that we hear in this podcast again and again and again. People making millions, losing, making million, losing, making it losing, making it losing, and it's like, man, there is nothing wrong with your capacity to to make money. Is something wrong with your head. You have to check what's going on with your head, because it doesn't make sense what is happening. So
Yes.
thank you so much, Kelly, and I think that the job that you do is important, and I do hope that the entrepreneurs listening get it what we discussed today. Otherwise, they can listen the podcast twice. I think that I recommend them this, so maybe they can dig deeper in what we just spoke about and get some inspiration and say, well, it's not only about making money um, and grow my company. Is what's the purpose? What I'm really doing this, and I'm gonna be happy. I am really gonna happy and embrace the new person I'm gonna become, and what you need to let go in order to be that person that you're about to become, because you unfortunately you might need to let that go, otherwise it's not gonna work. You're gonna be
Mm-hmm.
miserable and unhappy. Yeah. So thank you so much. And for a lot of
Thank you
you
for having
following,
me.
pleasure. For all of you following the broadcast, our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneur like Kelly break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.